Fair enough. Well, we're live now, so you can kind of make as much noise as you like. I was actually going to change my shirt. Shall I do it now?
No, well, it's hot enough. Hurry, hurry.
It's time for Talkin Comic-Con after dark. Yeah. No, I was going to put on my slightly fresher Wonder Woman shirt on because I have been wearing this a day or so now, and it is very warm in here.
And we can smell you as well. This is the thing. The wonders of the new internet with smell-o-vision means that we can smell you. If anybody has the scratch and smell cards, please scratch off number 3 right now.
Yes. Actually, considering me, it will be 3, 6, and 8. You want to do like a nice combo of said things. Hello there. We have Andrew English. Hello from London. 6 more working days. Okay. For myself, it's slightly less. I fly, let's see, it's 6 o'clock now, in 25 hours. No, 13 hours. Yes, that's when I make a move. Andrew Dickinson a week tomorrow for me. Michael P. Good morning, all. Good morning, Michael. Hello, Sir Lister of Smeg. How are you? I would like Sir Lister of Smeg's opinion, please, of the unofficial blogs panel breakdowns. Because the one thing that we aren't going to be doing is like as comprehensive as what they do. They really they go all the way in. They go all to metrics. The next thing you know, you've got a 2-hour show for 2 days. And I'm just wondering if it ends up being a little bit too much. We're going to deal with more of the headlines today. So there we go. Caden Clements, new face, new name. Hello there. Hello, Cornwall, Ontario, Canada. Welcome along. Graham Small now puts full panel breakdown, and this is where he now is going to make a snarky comment because I know he's not particularly keen, especially Saturday. Thursday and Friday, okay. I think I see where this is coming. We got Michael Ebel. Hello there. Dr. Skyhawk. Welcome along. Karma Savage is joining us. Long time no see. Okay, this is where me and Graham Small are definitely going to have to disagree. Because he's saying utter balls. I wouldn't go with utter balls. There's stuff there. It's just not in Hall H. And I think you can step away from Hall H and find lots of interesting stuff.
That's what we're going to talk about, then, Leonard. That's what we're going to talk about.
We are indeed. We are indeed. Owen Mason's joining us. Gil Cabrera's joining us. Hello, Gil. Welcome along, sir. Sam Payne. No, that's news to me. No idea. Sarita P is joining us. Yes. Hello, everybody. Welcome along. But I'll tell you what, I know Alyssa's kind of getting herself sorted with another cup of coffee because Alyssa is in San Diego now. She is there, which means she is now on Pacific time. Usually she'd have a couple of hours to kind of wake up and get herself sorted. It would be 1 o'clock p.m. when she would join us for the show usually. Not this week. She is more or less just woken up. And not only that, but she's currently in an apartment with my other half, which means she is possibly hungover. So I am not saying that my wife is an absolute bad influence, but she's an absolute bad influence. So that's
well, it's mutually bad influence.
There's a mutual destruction there.
Absolutely. I don't know who's got that going.
Fair enough. Okay. Right. So let's dive into it. Apparently we've got an echo. Who have we got an echo on? Because I can't put any headphones on, unfortunately.
It's with Alyssa.
Is it from
but I think it's gone now.
It has, yes.
Yes.
You're coming through loud and clear now, Alyssa. It's all good.
Perfect.
Okay.
As I was saying, I'm an equally bad influence on Caroline when it comes to shopping. I may or may not have a shoe problem. I'm not admitting to it.
What on earth? Really? Okay.
Oh, totally. I can go girly on folks. Totally.
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
Really? Okay. Right. Considering we're at 3 minutes past, and I know we're running a little bit late, so let's just dive into it because we've got ourselves a nice chunk of people watching now. 22 viewers already, and rising nicely. Considering that, yes, we are going to be talking about the schedules today. Welcome along. My name's Len Sultana. This is Talking Comic-Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. No cup of tea today. It is a pint of water because it has been a long week. It's been lots of gigs, lots of incidental episodes. I hope you caught our shows on Thursday and Friday. I had a lot of fun. We had a show on Friday with, this is where I'm going to go. This is where I'm tired now. I'm going to completely blank out on names. Basically, we just had a lot of fun talking, and hopefully we'll catch those on the YouTube channel. Do get in there. But what we're going to talk about today is the stuff that's been announced over the course of the last 3-4 days. It's, of course, the schedules. We are talking 11 days to go to San Diego Comic-Con. Yes, it was the EW guy. That's Michael P's jumping in. Yes, yeah. So there's, as you can tell, I'm getting a little bit fried, and we're all getting a little bit fried because we are just getting ourselves ready, and hopefully we'll be in some kind of decent frame of mind for Comic-Con. 11 days time to count in counting. Next weekend, of course, we are going to be doing our show. We're all going to, well, myself and Alyssa certainly going to be in the same place. So we're going to be in San Diego next weekend. So it's going to be fun. But let's dive into what we're talking about today, the schedules. We are going to be dealing not so much with a full breakdown because there is so much to talk about. There is so much content in there. As per usual, San Diego Comic-Con has provided us with an embarrassment of riches. But what we are going to dive into are the main headlines of each day. We're going to dive into potential clashes of each day. And, of course, we're going to have our own hidden gems of each day as well. We're going to dive first as kind of like as one with my 3 guests. We'll just very quickly talk about the Wednesday. First things first, we've got Alyssa Franks from the Friends of Comic-Con Forum. Hello, Alyssa. How are you?
I'm well. There is that echo again.
Cool.
Made it to San Diego last week. I hope people didn't think too much after the last show. I've heard good reports. Everybody enjoyed themselves tremendously on the show last week. So hats off to you for handling or corralling the fan show. I know, speaking of from before the Christmas show that I did, that it can be fun and interesting, and you learn new things because you've got.
It was a lot of bodies, a lot of spinning the plates, but no, it was good. It was a lot of fun. I hope everyone else enjoyed it as well. Yeah, so that was interesting. I mean, how's your week actually been in terms of finally arriving in San Diego? How is the town looking?
The town is looking well. We're starting to see some posters and banners up. People are getting ready. Primarily, we've been talking to a lot of the shop owners and that sort of thing because not a lot of people are in at this point. Most people are getting in, I think, next week. So that's, really what all of the planning is for. But everybody who is local is starting to, just kind of, what are you going to do on the 10th? Oh, I think I'm going to go to Nerd Night. We're getting ready for the town and getting ready for everybody coming in. So
cool. Excellent stuff. And we are also joined by Mr. Mark Searby. Long time no see. How are you keeping, sir?
I'm very well, thanks, Leonard. Yes, it's been a while, but I'm back now.
Well, considering that whenever it is a joyous event to have Mark joining us, it does end up being an Englishman in San Diego, hosted by Mark Searby, with us just the second run. We know our place, so it's great to have the rock sex god, which is Mark Searby, joining. There you go.
I won't be taking my shirt off though, Leonard. You've done that already. Look, we can only have one Englishman taking their shirt off on this show, so I won't do it. You've already done it.
Fair enough. Well, I think if you're going to give the audience what they want, at the end of the day, so if you want to jump in on a Q&A, everyone, if you want Mark Searby to take his shirt off, tell us now. And if it's an overriding yes, then we will make sure that Mark takes his shirt off before the end.
What?
So, okay.
What are you guys talking about?
It's a very, very good question. It's a very good question.
Move along here.
Okay, right. Let's dive in then. So first things first, let's very quickly cover Wednesday, because it is a day where... oh, hang on a second. I'm not entirely sure why that's not coming up. Come on, it's not showing. Why isn't it showing? Fair enough, it's not showing for some strange reason. This is Wednesday, July 18th. Just a couple of programming panels which have come up. Teaching with Comics, which is an interactive workshop for educators, which is going to be held at the special events suite at the San Diego Library. The Manifest world premiere and special sneak peek screenings, as we know, in Ballroom 20. And then, of course, we have something a little bit special, which is New Line Cinema's Scare Diego, which is very odd, which is basically New Line Cinema's anticipated horror films with a couple of filmmaker guests. This is taking place in the Horton Grand Theatre. So, yeah, it's nothing really we can kind of really talk about. Is this anything that interests you, Mark, as our cinephile?
I mean, it does. Yeah, it does.
Isn't it The Nun? And
yeah, so they'll have the Nun there as well, and it looks like there'll be some sort of thing for The Conjuring Part 3 as well, which is kind of bizarre because I don't think they started filming that. And there's also some word on, you know, some sort of other reveal as well. So whether, you know, part of me is thinking, are they going to reveal that they finally got somebody to make The Crow, that it's actually going to happen again, you know? But you know, much like you're shaking your head there, Leonard, I'm completely
shaking my head in a violent manner. That it's look, there's only so many times you can revive the dead, and I think on this one you can't do it. It's
yeah. So no, I mean, I'm interested, but they're not showing a full film. That's the thing. It's just going to be little bits here and there, which, you know, that's fine, but you've got so long to wait on some of them that I just want to see the whole film, really. You know, like if they're going to turn around and say, right, we'll show you 5 minutes of something, then we'll show you the whole of The Nun. Well, I'm going to be there. Great. Because, you know, that looks great. But yeah, I'm interested, but I don't want to see just 5 minutes at, you know, 11:15 at night or something before Comic-Con's even started.
Fair enough. Okay, I mean, we've got Andrew, so let's have a look at this. Carla Savage, she's interested. She will be going for tickets for this. Interested for It Too. I am curious to know if we'll actually see anything from that. I think they're still at, like, table reading moment for that at that point. I don't think they're nowhere near shooting yet, are they? So that is still in very early production. Andrew Dickinson, have we heard rumours of an Alien TV show? If I had, you'd be catching me on camera laughing my cock off, because what the hell? No, we don't want it. We don't need it. It's not required. So no, that's no. If it happens now, you can bring this back and shove it in my face, by all means. But for myself, I don't see it happening. Right. In that case, let's dive straight into Thursday, July the 19th. And we're doing this by individual analysis, as it were. So I start my clock, 20 minutes. Mark Searby is now going to talk about the schedules for Thursday. Go.
Okay, great. So let's not talk about Hall H, because a lot of people have already seen Hall H, and I'm sure you want to cover it, Leonard, at some point, even though you're not going. There's some good stuff in Hall H. There's some bad stuff in Hall H. Right, it's done. Great. Some things that have stuck out for me in terms of the Thursday, really, is, you know, there's a panel here, Blade Runner Revelations Storytelling in VR. Now, for anybody who was at San Diego last year and did the Blade Runner offsite and got the VR thing on there, this is going to be some sort of continuation of that. So if you have a VR headset, this is a whole panel dedicated to what they're going to be doing for Blade Runner, basically. So they're going to be bringing, it looks like it's going to be some sort of full-on game as well. So I'm really interested in that. It's kind of something new as well. That is 10:30 till 11:30 in room 6 BCF, You know, so those stuck out for me as well. You mentioned this before as well, Leonard. I think you'd put a tweet out earlier this week about it. Leonard Maltin has got his own panel this year. Did you see this?
I did indeed.
Yes, and basically he's going to sit on stage, and you can grill him on all of the things that you think he got wrong with film reviews. I kind of like that. I think that's kind of fun. And, you know, if he got it right, you can say he got it right. If he got it wrong, you can tell him you've got that wrong. You're completely wrong. I think that's kind of fun. It's a bit of a fun panel to start a Thursday. That's 11:30 in room 24 ABC as well. There is some other bits as well. You know, there's one that sort of sprung up for me, and I'd heard rumors about this, and maybe other people have heard more than I have, is Kevin Williamson's new TV show. Now, obviously, people might know him from the Scream franchise. He has a new TV show called Tell Me a Story, which is reimagining of fairy tales. So he's done like the Three Little Pigs, Red Riding Hood, Hansel and Gretel in a very dark and twisted manner as well. Sounds fascinating. I've got to say, I'm really interested in this panel. It's called Tell Me a Story, and it doesn't say it's on CBS. It's going to be on CBS. So I'm kind of interested to see what that is. That's in ballroom 20. So if I don't make it there, somebody do tell me what it's like, because I imagine they will show the first episode probably. The other thing as well is, and if you haven't watched this show, please do, because, you know, it's right up everybody's alley. Everybody who's going to San Diego Comic-Con or is interested in it, this show is right up their alley. The Toys That Made Us on Netflix. So it has been renewed for a third series, as we know, and they have their own panel on Thursday. So they're going to be talking about the first two seasons. They're going to be talking about the third season as well. And they've put even a surprise or two along the way. Don't know what that could be. That could be anything, really, thinking about it. That is 1 o'clock. It could be. See, this is the thing, Alyssa. What could it be? I'm trying to think what it would be. It could be. It could be. That's 1 o'clock, room 5AB. That one sort of stood out for me as well. John Barrowman has his usual yearly panel. 2 o'clock in the Indigo Ballroom.
I was about to say, where's that going to be?
In the Indigo Ballroom. It's always in there. I think it's always in there because then he's not on the main premises. So if anything gets slightly broken, or if anybody sees some private parts that they shouldn't do, it's not on the main convention area. Do you know what? In all honesty, go on. Sorry, Alyssa, go on.
I have to say, with regards to a John Barrowman panel, at a convention I was at a few years ago, I asked my Twitter audience, should I see John Barrowman or an an image panel? And everybody was like, you've seen a lot of image panels, but you haven't seen a John Barrowman show. And it is, if you've never seen a John Barrowman show, I was in stitches laughing on the floor. He is absolutely crazy. At some point, do yourself a favor. Moving on.
Do you know what? I think you're right there, Alyssa, actually, is that it is the John Barrowman show. It's not Anything Goes with John Barrowman. Well, it is Anything Goes because, he turns up in high heels. But I have never seen a TV show with him in it. I don't watch Doctor Who. I don't watch Torchwood, anything like that. But I will go and see a panel with him because it is so outlandish. It's so crazy. So, yes, he's got his normal panel. I highly recommend that. Alyssa does as well, which is great. Now, there's no Marvel in Hall H this year. And there's a lot of people up in the air about it. I know that. However, there is a Marvel panel which I find really interesting about the film stuff. And it is Marvel Studios, the first 10 years, visual development. So it's all of the foreseen concept art and, their designs as well. And it sounds fascinating. So we get to see all of the original artwork as well. And I saw some Black Panther stuff earlier in the year, and I thought it was incredible. I really did. So Marvel Studios are there, as we know. They're just not in Hall H. But this is kind of Hall H material, really. We saw the end product. This is the beginning product as well. That's 5 o'clock.
The unofficial blog pointed that one out, and they kind of hoped that there was going to be a continuation of those kind of panels across the entire MCU, which hasn't panned out. That's not how they haven't appeared. I'm wondering if they've actually missed a trick there, because it would have been great to have say Andy Park and Ryan Mending and doing the production design. You had the music of the MCU. I mean, good God, there's some rock stars when it comes to doing the music. Directing an MCU film, I don't know. You could have pulled all sorts of different elements throughout the course of a weekend and really stretched it out. And but this one does look interesting. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's just all of the behind the scenes stuff, and these are the guys who have been working in Marvel for many years as well. So I think that's one to keep an eye on. Certainly is. And for Thursday, the other thing that really stuck out for me, and this is a panel about it's about a man making a film, and this film has already premiered in the UK. I haven't seen it, I have to say, but I know people who have and said it's brilliant. This is Shooting Clerks, the Kevin Smith biopic, and it is basically a dramatization of the making of Kevin Smith's Clerks. And I mean, it sounds fascinating. So we're going to have a sneak peek of certain scenes from the film as well. There's some behind the scenes footage as well, and I think they're going to announce when it's getting its US release as well. So yeah, it kind of sounds interesting. And obviously, Kevin Smith is one of the biggest geeks going in the world, and Clerks is his, it introduced him to the world. So it's one of those things that I'm like, that's a curious project, a dramatization of a film that launched him. So not only have you seen the documentaries that are on the Clerks DVD and everything else like that, somebody has then gone back and refilmed it as well. Fair
enough. Let's very quickly cover the big rooms. You've said that we have to talk about them, because at the end they can. It's a case of, because I'm wondering if everyone else kind of agrees with me on this one. In the past, it's been Hall H, your big tier. Then it's kind of like Ballroom 20, Indigo, you have to make a decision, and then it's everything else. Now it's a case of Hall H is kind of being programmed deliberately to sit more in with the Ballroom 20 Indigo. And if anything, people are now choosing between Indigo and Ballroom 20. I mean, let's have a quick rundown of those rooms. I mean, Hall H, I think, is just one of the most bizarre programmings of Thursday. Predator, Doctor Who, Marvel Games Panel, Dragon Ball Super, AMC's Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, and then Assassination Nation with the Russo brothers. That smacks to me of a walk-in all day.
Agreed.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. And then it's the case of deciding between Indigo and Ballroom 20. Indigo, your 6th annual musical Anatomy of a Superhero, that is always just a blast. Freeform's Siren. And then you've got 2 back-to-back of the new YouTube original shows, Impulse and Origin. John Barrowman, like you say. Night Flyers, which kind of caught my attention as well, because that's the new one from George R. Martin. Van Helsing, The Worlds of Vampire, Z Nation. So you've got 3 vampire shows back to back. Black Summer, which is the new Netflix original series. And then Brooklyn's Nine-Nine, which I'm stunned you haven't brought up once.
Nine-Nine.
So there you go. Is that it? Is that your bring?
That's it. That's it. Yeah. I mean, I could do some sort of deadpan thing, but no. Yeah, no. I mean, it's on the list, but it's on. I think it's on everybody's list as well. I'm quite surprised it's in the Indigo. That's the thing.
It's not a small room.
No, I know, but I'm still thinking that's a Ballroom 20 panel, really. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised, but it's in there. But at the same time, I really like the Indigo. It's always got strong programming. The sound in there is probably the best out of all the big rooms as well. And no matter where you sit, even at the back, you can see really well.
Yeah, and not only that, but you've got water. The hotel put water coolers nice and close. It's nice and comfortable. I like the Indigo a lot. I'm a fan. Yeah. Okay, and then in Ballroom 20, possibly not as strong, but still, From the Bridge, which is the documentary, which is doing a a comment about that, which is regarding the evolution of sci-fi fantasy comic books and the positive impacts that they've had on society as a whole. I think that sounds fascinating. Charmed exclusive screening and panel. If you're a fan of the old series, Tell Me a Story, which is and the new one from Kevin Williamson. It's like you say, Mark, is the new take. It's the storyteller. Does that make sorry for the older members of the congregation? There's going to be one or two people going to what now? Jim Henson's The Storyteller. Go and YouTube it. It was awesome. Discovery of Witches, which sounds interesting to me. Bobcat Goldthwait, Pokemon Go. It's just so random.
I think in general, that's what I've kind of noticed about the panels is that it seems like there's a lot of odd, quirky panels. I think CCI is really taking a key, taking other programming at other conventions to heart and looking at these more quirky little panels, which is fun. It kind of disperses everybody, which is cool, as opposed to everybody wanting to get into Ballroom 20 or Hall H. And so,
Owen is commenting that Brooklyn Nine-Nine is the second most popular panel on the schedule so far, behind for all of the days, behind only Doctor Who, which is like you say. Well, I mean, I say, Indigo. It's not a small room. You can fit a lot of people in there. Karen's session random is good for room turnover. Which I think we're going to see a lot of, certainly Thursday and Friday. What's looking through the Thursday schedule? What's your take on it? I mean, how strong it is? Is it something because we have seen Thursdays which have been kind of like slow burns? What's been your take on it?
I'm going to let Alyssa go on this one.
Okay, I liked the diversity that was there. I mean, you've got some of my picks included the first thing in the morning was diversity in comics, why inclusion and visibility matter. Sorry, small printing. But then it's also got a nice mix of the science panels with 2001: A Space Odyssey 50th anniversary reunion, which I enjoy, in Westworld and popular science beyond entertainment. So I found that it was a really nice mix of stuff and had a little bit of something for everybody. So that's my take on it. Plus, they've got an entire panel on Mars 2, which is I believe it's the history or the Nat Geo show that's coming up shortly too. So I'm looking forward to Thursday's panels myself. Fair
enough. I will also quickly jump in. I as somebody who, if you've been a long time watcher of this, you will know that I'm an advocate for Room 2, which is the Artist Alley sponsored room, or curated room by the people who run Artist Alley. Considering you've got drawing with Art Germ Lau, drawing with Scott Hampton, and how to draw with Jim Lee, if you're wanting to get in that room, I suggest you start queuing up very early because it's a very small, intimate room, and that's going to rock. So yeah. Gil Cabrera, Fridays are a bunch of conflicts for me. Karen session asking, this is a reply to the Andrew English comment about the app. Has CC uploaded their app for this year yet? That's not going to happen until either middle to end of next week. If I think they've even done it as late as Comic-Con week. So don't hold your breath on that just yet. So yeah, it's a strong day then, Mark.
Do you know what? I think Alyssa hit the nail on the head by saying it's a diverse day. And I think it appeals to so many different fractions of, as Alyssa was saying there's so many different things that she wants to see which appeal to different things, different bits that she's interested in. So strong day, really strong day, possibly not. Diverse day, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And... No, thank you very much indeed for that, Mark. Very quickly, just to wrap up on Thursday then, do we have an individual hidden gem per person for this particular day? So we'll start with Mark. I think he was going to...
No, I was going to get my pieces of paper again. I don't know, actually. I mean, I'm still really tempted with the Kevin Smith thing, just because, you know, Kevin Smith was certainly my entry into the geek world, and anything involving him, I'm totally there for. But there's quite a bit there, quite a bit. Yeah, maybe I'll go with that, just because I think a lot of people are probably not aware of it.
Fair enough. Alyssa?
I'm torn between the diversity in comics at 11 and the 2001 Space Odyssey panel. I am interested in being a technician. I'm interested in the moving of and upgrading and remastering that they've done on the 2001, and was tremendously sorry that I wasn't able to see it a couple of days ago when it was playing in town. So that being such a pivotal film in '68, you know, that whole year, and I'll go into that at a later date. There's another panel, but I think that I enjoy the history of it, the history and the science of it. So that one has to be my hidden gem.
Fair enough. I'm actually kind of torn between two. I mean, certainly for the 2001, I could have picked, and if anyone saw my Periscope when the Thursday schedule dropped, I may have squealed a bit. I may have just made a couple of high-pitched squeals when I heard about a 2001 panel, because I actually submitted for a 2001 50th anniversary panel. Admittedly, I then also looked at how many of the cast members are still alive and realized that I could struggle a little bit, but I did submit the panel. But if I didn't get it, someone was going to get it, because it's something that it was going to be obviously talked about. If I'm going to pick, I was tempted to go for the Will You Go to the Dance With Me panel, which is how homecoming dances and epic parties have shaped storytelling. Because I find this fascinating, if anything, very much like Halloween. Here in the UK, we had no concept of what Halloween could be until E.T. and the film Halloween and Karate Kid. We had no idea. We had no idea we could celebrate Halloween like that. And it's changed what Halloween is. And I think also in the States, it's kind of evolved itself off the back of the way it's portrayed in movies. So I think this is cool, because you've got Sam Maggs in there, Rachel Hine from Nerdist, and you've also got Alexandra Monner from Timeless. Very cool. But if I'm going to pick one, it is going to be Room 4 at 8:30, which is the Len Wein Memorial. There's a couple memorial panels that are happening over the course of the weekend. On Sunday, there is one for Harlan Ellison, which is another one that I could pick as my choice of the day. At the end of the day, the impact of Len Wein on comics it cannot be understated. We have got people in town which are main players in the Len Wein story, including Dave Gibbons, who Len Wein edited for Watchmen. So that is going to be a hell of a... no one's been determined for it yet, but expect to see the great and the good of comics in that room to celebrate the life of Len Wein. That's going to be a hell of a thing. So that's my pick. That's Room 4, 8:30 on Thursday. Right. Let's see where we are in the time with that. 11 seconds. Well done. Excellent stuff. So now we turn to Friday. And we say, Alyssa, can you tell us what you feel about Friday? But considering that Friday, as far as I can see, is it's a packed day.
I agree. To my mind, the panels that I've picked out for Friday far outweigh the panels for any of the other days in terms of just... I mean, there's so many different little panels. Yes, we've got the Hall H, which a lot of people are talking about with the Walking Dead's plural. You've got Sony Pictures panel in there. AMC's Preacher. If I could, at Hall H, if I could walk into the AMC's Preacher panel at 7:30, I would be happy. I might even skip a party for that one. Will I be able to do it? Doubtful. Yeah, Mark is laughing at me. Absolutely. But that's just, so you've got the marquee, you've got the big stuff, but then you've also got the smaller shows like Viking in Ballroom 20, like Vikings, and they got the Amazon Prime Video Showcase and Marvel's Cloak and Dagger are all in Ballroom 20. And then the world premiere of Death of Superman. So, it's a really a good mix of people. Indigo has got the Adult Swim stuff, Venture Brothers, Robot Chicken, Adventure Time, and the Final Space is also getting a Q&A with the cast and creators, which kind of looks, Final Space. Final Space wasn't one of my big hits of the year, but it certainly does seem to be getting a lot of airplay. 6A has got the My Little Pony and Invader Zim, which I kind of, Matt I think it's not Matt Fraction. There's another Matt that does Invader Zim. I think I forget which company he works for. His shows for. But then again, we've got 6BCF with Voltron, Capcom. And this is like your standard video game day in 6BCF with Evo Video Games, Street Fighter, Overwatch, Gods of War. And then in the evening, it turns to kind of more pop culture with Skybound Entertainment, which is kind of an interesting little, what is Skybound doing? And of course, The Last Sharknado, which you think it's really going to be The Last Sharknado out there, kind of thing. So, and then we go into some of the smaller rooms, but in terms of the things that I've personally picked out, you've got things from a variety of how to build a geek brand with Tony Kim. And that's a panel I always want to go see. And I may actually go see it this time. But then there's another one called Space Command, which was really kind of interesting. And I'm struggling here just to kind of get hit the highlights. Doug Jones, Robert Picardo, Mira Furlan from Babylon 5 and Lost, Bruce Boxnetter, who was also in Babylon 5. A bunch of well-known people are going to be talking about the new show, Space Command, which I'm looking forward to. Unfortunately, that's over in the library, so it's a little bit of a hike there. I've already mentioned Star Trek Discovery is going to be, I believe that was in Hall H. And one of my personal favorites is the one and only Artist Edition panel that's put on by IDW. If you're not familiar with Artist Editions, which I assume since most people are watching us, have watched us regularly, they are those larger books that have the full full-page reproductions of the original pen and ink artwork. Absolutely fascinating. If you get a chance to and are walking by the IDW booth, you can go in there and take a look at some of these artist editions. And it's a nice thing to go in and see where the comics came from and how they started. I know they've got IDW's got a couple of really good books this year as for exclusives. There's one which has been talked about, a Jim Starlin book, which is on everybody's list. And so that's some of the other panels here that the conflict for me is the 50 years ago today, celebrating the Planet of the Apes and 2001 Space Odyssey and Rosemary's Baby. All of those came out in '68, and I alluded to this earlier, but that was such a pivotal year in the exploration of what good science fiction could be, because up until that point, we always had the kind of hokey special effects, Rary Harryhausen type of stopgap animation, which were great and really pushed it forward. But 2001 and Planet of the Apes really made it real that, you know, this could happen. And it's worth noting that they put that 50th anniversary 50 years ago today panel opposite a Rary Harryhausen panel, Return of the Super Effects Godfather. That for me is the quintessential conflict of this day, because I want to see both of them. It's like, So a couple of other things that I liked was Moonbase and Beyond. Seems to me to be one of the few science-y panels of the entire show. There's not a lot of big NASA presence aside from, I believe, this one panel there, which NASA usually has been fairly prominent there. The Sony Picture panel is in Hall H, and I probably talked about it. This is the panel that has a lot of people kind of guessing as to, I mean, yes, they've talked about, you know, that Venom finally, you know, they've talked about these kind of things, but I know they said they're not going to bring anything, but if they're going to bring something, it's going to be to this one. You know, do you guys feel that way too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you'll see Tom Hardy in Hall H.
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the final, there's two final panels, which are little quirky kind of panels. One is the Me Too and Time's Up, an action summit for comics. I think that capitalizing on the cultural change that we've gone through recently in this past, 6 months to the year with the Me Too movement and the respect to diversity that I think is happening. I think this is a very timely panel. And then there's also the final panel, which I would love to go see, but I don't think I will get a chance to. Star Wars Mock Trial, the court martial of Poe Dameron. Which I think that would be fun because, you know, he should have been court-martialed, in my opinion, but there you go. So those were kind of my, that was my take on Friday. Did I miss anything for you guys? Or there's big ones?
Certainly we could get into kind of the way that Comic-Con have programmed this, especially kind of the bigger rooms. If anything, because, I mean, I put a tweet out earlier on today, which was a little bit facetious, but a lot of people have kind of jumped on it and gone, no, you might have a point, that 2018 is the year that Comic-Con International killed the lines at Comic-Con. At the end of the day, this is not this is not a programming setup for overnight camping anymore. Maybe sort of like late nights, 12 o'clock starts. This is not a programming setup. Even looking at the Saturday, which I'm going to do in a second, where you're looking at a 2-night camp out. Not anymore. So certainly, if we have a look at the movement of people, I mean, if we look at Friday on Hall H, you had that Dr. Horrible sing-along blog reunion. At the end of the day, it was very much a niche interest, but you do have Joss Whedon on there, you do have Felicia Day on there, and you have Jed and Mo Tenenbaum, the producers of this thing. So there's that, but leading into Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead, that's a swap over.
Yep.
Of fandoms. Then you got Star Trek Discovery, same again. Everyone's going to swap out. Universal Pictures Glass and Halloween. I'm wondering how many people have been burnt by M. Night Shyamalan so far to kind of, you know, get the attention. At the end of the day, is to get, he's got to get people through the door in much the same way as Bumblebee, who at the end of the day, I think we've been burnt by the Transformers films, and while I understand that this film is a little bit more, there's more of a human connection, because it is more about why the Transformers transform into vehicles, why they hide in plain sight. This is almost like Herbie Fully Loaded for the Transformers franchise. But is that going to be enough to get people to camp out or queue up all day? I suspect not. And Steve, you know what I mean? I'm wondering if there's. I mean, I've been kind of advising people. We've been asking about advising about when people should line up for stuff, and I'm going. You could even possibly have a lie-in.
The Q&A is agreeing with you. Graham Small is saying sorry, that echo. I'm sorry, the echo.
No, I personally can't hear it.
Okay. Graham Small is saying, I can't see many people waiting to stay all day in public on Friday. And I agree. It goes right along with what you're saying, that it's a high turnover rate. And I believe Karen Session also said that the Unofficial Blog podcast is agreeing with you that the CCI is really taking steps to limit the lines, which is kind of nice.
Not just the panels either, but for exclusives across the board. I think they have heard comments such as myself in that there's been so much time taken up in a line instead of actually going out and enjoying the rest of the convention. So it's a case of sorry, I'm just having to do a little bit of moderation. I do apologize.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
I'm on it. He can go and jump for a bit. So there we go. Yeah, it's more a case of now CCI wanting to just get people to enjoy their convention, and they can't do that in a line anymore. I think they've seen people camping out, and they're making this stand. It's not an accident. This is deliberate. It's as simple as that.
Mark, what are your special picks?
I mean, I'm certainly all over Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. I have to say that's quite exciting. But I mean, there's some other bits as well, like the world premiere of Castle Rock. You know, I'm really excited for that. That looks like it's going to be a very good TV show as well. There is, let me just find this. There is a panel about Hollywood location scouts and how they find their locations, basically. And it's got some big people on there as well. Some people who have worked on some very, very big films. And I kind of find that's an interesting job, going around the world trying to find the right locations. So yeah, it's kind of, that's interested me. There is also spotlight on Mike Mignola, because obviously it is I think it's 30 years of Hellboy, is it?
Yeah,
maybe so. Yes. So Mike Mignola is going to be doing a talk, and I also believe he's going to be at the Dark Horse booth doing some sign-ins and stuff like that. So I find that quite interesting. I don't read that many comics, graphic novels, I have to say. I do read Hellboy though, so that one certainly floats my boat quite a bit. There is the world premiere of The Passage as well, which is based on it's based on a book, Justin Cronin's first book, which I think was about 700 pages, and it's now a trilogy. Sounds kind of similar to The Strain, but you know, hey, look, The Strain was great. We need stuff like that. And also it's got Mark Paul Gosselaar in it, so you know, if there's anything else that we know, we're going to get somebody with really cool hair in this show, and also hopefully some sort of in-joke of Saved by the Bell. That would be quite fun. But that does look quite interesting. I've got to say, there's a couple of other actors in there as well that kind of, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of know those as well. And then much like you said, Alyssa, as well, Preacher is in Hall H. Last year, we got in just as it was starting. And we were about 3/4 of the way back. So I think with yourself, Alyssa, and probably with us, I think you'll be able to get in. I think it is a popular show. I don't think it is a lockout, I'll be honest.
Cool.
Fair enough. I mean, we've got a couple of comments coming in on the Q&A. I mean, I'm interested in this one. This is Andrew Dickinson saying to my statement that it's a deliberate programming choice, and he's saying perhaps it is an accident, as it has been brought about by no Marvel, no Star Wars, no Game of Thrones. Nothing to do with CCI. If they do show up, so do the sleepovers. I'll address that by saying Room 7AB is nothing but Star Wars. Literally from the moment the doors open at 11:30 through till 10 o'clock at night. Admittedly, it's stuff like the science of Star Wars, the women of Star Wars, stuff that actually interests me. Instead of actually someone rocking up with a 3-minute behind-the-scenes clip, if you are wanting to go to Comic-Con just to see how, so like the 3 stars of Star Wars show up on stage, like, if that's all that interests you, if that's what you're willing to camp out for, I don't know what to say to you. I really don't know what to say. I want to see something. I want to see something that's going to interest me. I want, for example, the Marvel panel, which they did 2 years ago. Or was it 2 years ago? Last year? But no, 2 years ago, with Doctor Strange, with Amazing Spider-Man, with it had stuff that interested me. With Star Wars, I've seen the replay of that Star Wars panel with Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill on it. And the only interest of that panel is it had Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill on it. And a 3-minute clip, which kind of, if the only interest of that panel is that everyone then got invited to something that was interesting, which was the concert. The actual panel itself, if you go back and watch that again on YouTube, I'm stunned. I'd be very, very impressed if that's the case. Because no, I don't get it. I prefer something of content, and that's what I feel Comic-Con are providing us. Even the rooms where we're talking about Hall H, where people are saying there's not enough in there, or there's no content in there. No, there's just no headliners. There's no U2 in there. There's a bunch of really interesting bands that will get your attention and keep it. And perhaps it's something that will get your attention for an hour, and then you'll go somewhere else and get your attention, and you'll move around. I think this is the year people will move around. So that's my take on it. Beyond that, I mean, I may be completely wrong. This is down. You do your Comic-Con how you do your Comic-Con, but anyone who says that there's nothing in these schedules isn't looking hard enough. That's my take on it.
I'm going to suggest a time check.
Sorry?
Time check?
A time check, 59 seconds. Right. In that case, really quickly, we'll go then to the choices, the hidden gems. Mark, your hidden gem for Friday.
There is a 25th anniversary screening of Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas at the Horton Grand Theatre on Thursday night, 7 till 10 p.m. As somebody who saw it in the cinema on its first release, this gets me very excited because Henry Selick is going to be there as well.
Nice. Nice. Okay, Alyssa? Oh, yeah, so which room's that in, please, Mark?
That's in the Horton Grand Theatre.
Right, so that is going to take some time. You're going to need to get to the sales pavilion. Sales pavilion to get the tickets for that, because that is the way you get your tickets for the Horton Plaza. Okay, so that's Mark's. Alyssa, your choice for Friday, please.
Just a little hidden gem that's at 2 o'clock. It's called the Comics Art Conference #8, From Civil Rights to Black Panther. It basically is how social social unrest leads to diversity and exploring, and it gets represented in the popular medias. That's in room 26 ABC at 2:00. It's a small panel. It's probably going to be an easy walk-in, especially if you, just need to give your feet a rest before the rest of the day. That's a fun little panel that I think will address some social issues that are relevant to what we're going through as a country. And your hidden gem, Leonard?
Yes, my hidden gem is another room 4 panel. Believe it or not, this is. That Lenween one is rather late in the day. It's an 8:30 one. I think it's the last one of the day. This one on the Friday, it's right in the middle of the schedule. It's 3 p.m. and it's a showcase panel on 2000 AD's Simon Bisley, or Bisley, yes. Or Bisley, if, however you want to pronounce it.
I just have to say I did get a Simon signature at one point, and the guy a few years ago, he's tempered it quite a bit, but he used to do signings with a bottle of vodka or a bottle of something clear on his table, which was, it's priceless when you see a kid come up with their mom and there's the bottle of vodka, and this is like at 2:00 in the afternoon, and you're kind of like going, let's handle this nicely. Anyway, Simon is always a fun character.
Yeah. This is obviously the guy who has done a number of strips for 2000 AD, including Dread. He is the co-creator of Slain as well, and has done some incredible work. And he is going to be, it's a showcase panel on him. So yeah, you're right. That's going to be an entertaining show. I think that's going to be of some big interest. In terms of the way that Friday works, I think it's a strong room. I think, like people have turned around and said, Thursday and Friday are incredibly strong for this year's Comic-Con. I think there's a lot of moving around. I think there's a lot of things can get you pinballing from room to room. To that regard, I think actually you're not looking at a lot of lining up as such. Maybe a panel or so beforehand to kind of make sure you're in the room. But beyond that, I don't think you're needing to go the whole full investment fully overnight, personally.
Graham Small says that this is going to be a way different con for me. And I think that it was going to be a lot of people's reaction to this schedule and the lack of lining up, is that people are going to be forced to mix it up a bit. And that's not a bad thing. A lot of people came on to the San Diego Comic-Con thing in 2010, 11, and 12. And it's time for that to get mixed up a little bit, because everybody has done, everybody's done the lineups. Most people have done the lineups. So I think, mixing it up quite a bit is great.
Yeah.
So we're just agreeing with everybody. So that is that Friday?
That's Friday. Right, let's do it then. It's the Saturday programming, and this is where I jump in. Obviously, people's attention has been caught by, because it was something that I wanted to find out what the hell was going to happen at the tail end of the Saturday, because it was going to determine whether it was going to be a Hall H overnight camp out like we're more than aware of. Because what was going to be programmed at the end of Saturday was going to determine that. People are obviously going to camp out, or at least certainly be in the room for the Warner Brothers theatrical, which is going to be Fantastic Beasts 2 and also Wonder Woman 84 and Aquaman. However, we have ourselves Deadpool 2, a panel for a film which has been out for months. Okay, fine. I mean, I've heard of tribute panels and retro panels, and we're having one for 2018. We're having retro panels for 1984. I didn't realize that our attention span had gotten so small that we're now doing retro panels for a film 5 months old. 4 months, so it could, however long it is. Yes, it's going to be entertaining because Ryan Reynolds knows how to bring the show. I can't see how that justifies a Saturday at 5:15 panel, though.
It's the big question.
Okay.
This was even brought up after a few drinks last night.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the two panels of any interest in that lineup is, like, say, Warner Brothers and Evening with Kevin Smith. If anything, because this is his first one back after his heart attack. And I think people are going to go. I mean, but then again, we've seen Fat Man on Batman. The man can still deliver. He delivered 7 days after his heart attack. So stick him on a microphone, and he's going to rock it. But it's usually something that people have been in the room for. They've been in and they've been entertained by a Marvel panel, and they've stuck around. This is a draw. This is actually something that people are going to have to get, come and see, if that makes sense. I'm just very curious about it. I mean, the 3 panels that are in between, 19th annual animation show of shows. Fair enough. RZA, movies, music, and martial arts. Really? Okay. It's a film that's been independently released. It's got a couple of names in there, but I'm wondering if someone if RZA is a draw enough to keep people in the room. Entertainment Weekly, Women Who Kick Ass. People deride this panel a lot. I happen to like it. I mean, in the past, it's a case of it being something in the middle of, like I say, the big showcase panels, your headliners, your aliens reunions, whatever. And people, well, this is where you take your kip. This is where you take your nap. Sorry, you've got Chloe Bennett on there. You've got Regina King. You've got Jodie Whittaker on there. They're always fun panels. I love that panel. So no, I'm down with that. So Hall H baffles me in that this could be the year that nobody does an over. There will be overnight camps. Of course there will. But yeah, it's a bizarre one. But then
I'm just going to jump in here for 1 second and say, with regards to the Women Who Kick Ass panel, it may be that you should look at who is saying that's a boring panel. For somebody like myself, the Women Who Kick Ass panel is very, very interesting because it speaks to me as a feminist. And perhaps some of the people who are criticizing that panel may not have as strong feelings as I do. I'm trying to put it delicately. Okay, now resume regular programming, Leonard.
Okay. In which case, it's then a decision between Ballroom 20 and Indigo, both of which have got extremely strong lineups from the word go. Black Lightning at 11, Simpsons at 12, American Dad at 1. Nothing new there. I mean, we've always had those 3 with the Family Guy wrapping things up. It then goes into the WB set portion of the day, or indeed of the con, considering you've got The Gifted, Supergirl, Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, The Flash, and wrapping things up with the Masquerade at 8 o'clock. That's strong enough, and it does the job. When you have the Indigo programming as well, you have Steven Universe, The Good Place, which is a big draw. Krypton, Manifest, Legacies, Cosmos, The Orville, TV Guide Magazine's fan favorites, Deadly Class, The Magicians, Twin Peaks. That's the strongest panel, or that's the strongest room for me of the weekend. That's going to be a tough room to get into.
Yeah.
Considering, I mean, we haven't even got the panelists announced for the fan favorites, but considering you're going to be having cast members from The 100, Krypton, Gotham, and more, that's going to be a tough room. It starts strong, it finishes strong, and it just doesn't let up all day. Indigo, this is the year where Indigo becomes the big room. Wow. What on this? We're in the upside down, people. we're in somewhere a whole other dimension. It's very, very strange. Go on, Alyssa.
It's kind of interesting that that's going to be the Indigo is going to be the room where people are for, as opposed to Ballroom 20 or Hall H.
Yeah, that's going to be when the lines, instead of that, they snake down Bayfront and they don't go into the tents. They then line up outside Starbucks and outside the ice cream parlor to get into Indigo. This is a new one. This is something else. In general, the actual programming of the day, though, I mean, we've got some fantastic little, but I'm not even going to say little, because they are just lots of really fun panels. You will probably find me in room 2. Sorry, I'm harping on about this, but at 2 o'clock, you've got Kim Jong-gi there, which means I'm taking my Civil War variant issue 8, which has been gagging to be signed for 2 bloody years. So that's where I'll be. But you've got like Talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Kevin Eastman in 23 ABC. You've got I scrolled through Saturday and just went, there is nowhere that doesn't have something on. It's just insane. Just the amount of content is just ridiculous. Leanne D, 6A has got some good panels for Saturday. Yeah, Unikitty, My Hero Academia, Big Hero 6, the series, Marvel Comics, the next big thing. I think the interesting one for that particular day is the Marvel Comics Meets the Editor-in-Chief. I'm curious to see if that's going to bring some of the controversy about his hiring. This is C.D. Cebulski, but then it's also moderated by Scotty Young. So it's going to be kept nicely light. It's going to be a fun panel, is that? Man in the High Castle, Matt Groening's Disenchantment, and then Project Blue Book. Yeah, strong day. I think, like I say, you've got Midnight Texas in 6BCF. Talks Machina with Critical Role in there as well. It's non-stop clashes, so it's just more a case of just roll with it. I really would just be kind of almost wandering around, because there's going to be stuff to entertain me beyond the big room, or the big rooms, as it were. So even if you don't get into Indigo and Ballroom 20 or Hall H, it's not going to matter. Because there's just stuff to see. People are commenting. Let's have a look on this. Is Street of P, is this a sign that if Disney no longer do Hall H, it will go back to the way it was before they came? I don't know about that, because I think I've mentioned on several things that at the end of the day, Hollywood has always been part, or the pop culture has always been part of Comic-Con, considering that you had Hitchcock as one of the guests of the second Comic-Con. You know, the third one was Star Wars. That's where it started. No, I don't know. Let's have a look. Angela Copley, we will be in Indigo most of Saturday. I don't think it will be that tough. Maybe a little. I think you're looking at a good 2-3 hour lineup for that. We did have someone asking about a possible. There were rumors that was a Godzilla panel, and I thought I'd wait till Saturday till we brought it up. That's Legendary, and it hasn't been mentioned. Legendary basically not mentioning that they're doing anything at Comic-Con this year. I don't think we'll be seeing Godzilla. I think also Legendary, there's a little bit of bad blood there, perhaps, considering that they did go all in with Comic-Con International, and it didn't quite pay off. So I don't know. I think that's a bit of strong. Yeah. So there we go. Okay. In terms of the actual programming, hidden gems, Alyssa, I mean, if you could find one panel to point out, I'd be stunned. but go for it. Have a go.
Yeah, I always enjoy the Jack Kirby artwork extravaganza. But yeah, I'm still hearing that echo. That's why I'm pausing, guys. Sorry. There's a Matt Taylor. Most of the posters I have made. This is a combination of Matt Taylor. He's an illustrator for the San Diego Souvenir Book, and Rob Jones, who is the Mondo creative director, and a mysterious second panelist. But they're going to be talking about movie posters, and that's, there's one of those little panels at 12:30 that I like to keep on my schedule, just as a place where I could jump in and learn something. Obviously, the Orville is a big one, but there's also Happy Birthday Frankenstein. This is the 200th anniversary of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. San Diego Comic Fest brought this to light earlier this year with featuring the Frankenstein, but also we've got the Happy Birthday Frankenstein panel at 10 a.m. in room 7AB, which again just brings us, it brings us back into the whole history thing, which is of my interest. And Mark?
Well, I'm slightly in agreement with Leonard, but also slightly in disagreement in that I for me, Saturday is not the strongest of days until right at the end, where you're asking about hidden gems or something. I've got 3 all at the same time.
Go for it.
Which is very, very frustrating. So they are screening My Neighbor Totoro at the Horton Grand. That is in association with Her Universe and Hot Topic. If you've never,
you've got the DVD. You've got the DVD for that. Okay, pass.
Yeah, but they're giving out little trivia prizes as well. Who doesn't want a plush Totoro or something? So okay, so we'll get rid of that one. But then, yeah, at the same time, you've got 25 years of The Nightmare Before Christmas with D23, the official Disney fan club. As I said before, I was a massive, massive fan. It's one of my favorite films of all time. Henry Selick is going to be there as well. That's in 6 BCF. And then at the same time, and you have just mentioned this earlier, Leonard, is in the Indigo Ballroom, the Twin Peaks cast are going to be there. And considering we got shut out of the Twin Peaks panel last year, even though it wasn't half full, because some fire stewards can't count the amount of people outside compared to the seats inside. That excites me as well. And apart from, obviously, the 2 main guys, everybody else is coming to this panel. I mean, it's huge. And also, if you don't know, they're all doing sign-ins throughout the weekend as well in the sales pavilion. So I am torn between what is a hidden gem for me there. I can take any 3 of those, really.
Fair enough. I'm going to have to very quickly find another hidden gem because Alyssa obviously didn't spot on the script that she picked mine.
Oops.
So, yeah.
Yeah, somebody who shall remain nameless but has an S before the her part didn't look at the script.
You're blaming my wife.
No. I'm blaming myself.
Okay.
For not
if you blame my wife, I get it. So fair enough. Okay. If I'm going, because there were a couple I spotted which kind of got my attention. Let me just see if I can find it, because there's been a number of tribute panels and retrograde panels, and people look at like showcases of some classics. And there was 1 or 2 that I spotted on the Saturday, but I was trying to work out if they were going to be strong enough to get my attention on a Saturday, considering obviously we do have a number of big names kicking around. Yes, Talks Machina in room 6 BCF. That's going to be a big draw, considering they have just, Critical Role have just done their big presentation of a little Kickstarter, which raised $1 million. I think they were aiming for something like 30,000, and they raised $1 million, which is just incredible. I think I'm going to point out this is 6DE, which is mostly a DC room with one strange panel in the middle to kind of break things up. You've got DC My Secret Origin, DC World's Finest, DC New Age Heroes, DC Essentials, 20 Years of Magic Inside Harry Potter. And then it comes back to Batman the Animated Series on Blu-ray, DC's Tom King, and then you've got Winona Earp to wrap things up. Very odd programming there, but if anything, I think a lot of Winona Earp fans are going to find out about Tom King because they're going to show up the hour before and learn about Tom King's role, Mr. Miracle, and his take on the Vision and his take on Batman. So, yeah, Winona Earp fans, you're in for a bit of a education on Tom King. You see, the thing is, this is what happens. You have picked the one that you will not be able to tear me away from, which is Matt Taylor's posters panel.
Yeah.
It is just going to be, it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. In terms of the Saturday, I think I've said my piece in terms of the lining up and the fact that CCI, for myself, I mean, we talked about that there isn't headliners in Hall H to attract a 2-night or a 1-night overnight kip. But then Mark's turning around about and talking about Twin Peaks. That could go in Hall H. We've had panels that are in Indigo and Ballroom 20 that if they were moved around, they could go in Hall H. RZA could go in Ballroom 20 or in Indigo. It seems like they're trying to take the heat off Hall H for myself. That's what I think they're doing. But there we go. Obviously, we've got people who are disagreeing with me. They're saying it is more about the content, but I think there is content there. It's just possibly not in the room that we're expecting it. So there we go. Right. Okay. Let's have a look. We've got Sir Lister of Smeg talking about unnecessary debates panel, nerds arguing about nonsense. We do that every Sunday. So I don't understand why you'd be interested in going to Comic-Con when we provide that to you every Sunday, nerds arguing about nonsense. So I find that bizarre. So let's have a look. Dan Berry is talking about DC meeting the publishers. Might be a good panel. Big news may or may not come out of that panel as well. He's doing a wink as well. I think he's heard something. Who knows? Let's have a look. But yeah, Saturday's just such a strange day. But then again, this is just such a strange con. I don't know.
Okay, if I could take a left turn here, Gil Cabrera has just announced that he has confirmed that our new fish taco cart will be at Comic-Con. He will update the location when he finds it. I had the privilege of attending the fireworks celebration in San Diego and had the privilege of trying the new fish tacos, and I have to say they're good. They're good. I like the aioli sauce. You get a lot of food for $12, and the fish was done well. So keep us updated on that. And we still have got, we've got the chocolate bars on our list, Gil, and now we've got the tacos. Aside from the breakfast hot dog, that's
okay. When we're talking about San Diego Comic-Con schedules, and Alyssa feels that the tacos are the headlines that we need to start spreading the words about, that says a lot about the schedules.
Well, no, I'm saying we can move on. We kind of had.
We're not going to move on. We're talking about the schedules.
No. Well, to Sunday. We did Saturday. Now we're doing Sunday, and I'm providing an interlude. A food break, an intermission, so to speak.
So you don't want to talk about you don't want to talk about how this whole convention is shaping up to you, considering the 3 big days of Thursday, Friday, Saturday. and how this feels for you.
I didn't say that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Uh-oh.
No. Okay, so let's have a look at the Saturday, which obviously had a bit of a switch. Sorry, the Sunday, sorry, which had a bit of a switch around. Obviously, the first official panel that was announced for Comic-Con was Doctor Who, which was given this big fanfare. That we were going to be seeing the showrunners, we're going to be seeing a couple of cast, and this was going to be the first time we saw a Doctor on a panel before we'd even seen her on screen. Jodie Whittaker, this is her big coming out party. And of course, the moderator was going to be Chris Hardwick. That has now shifted to the Thursday. We don't know who the moderator is for that yet. I personally would like to throw Craig Ferguson's name into the ring, because I think he would do very well on that panel. But it says a lot that they've done a lot of switching around. The panel so far, Supernatural is going to be our first panel of the day. That's going to be an automatic draw. So that is going to be something where you're looking at anywhere from a midnight lining up or even an overnight. Riverdale. Okay, I'm going to turn to both Alyssa and Mark on this one. Is Riverdale that strong? It's got a very intense fan base, but is it as strong? Is it like Supernatural? It's more. It's a more intense than mainstream audience.
It's a good question. I don't think it's as large as Supernatural, probably. Maybe other people might tell me, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like it has a core group, but it's not a huge core group. You know, I'm quite surprised it's in there at the same time. But, you know, this is the same sort of thing as we saw with Twin Peaks last year. Why Twin Peaks in Hall H when half the room was empty? That's what we're getting with some of these. And this is what you were talking about earlier, Leonard, is we're getting some of these panels where they're in Hall H, but you think, should that be in Indigo? I'm not too sure. It's unsure. But, you know, this is Sunday. Sunday has really, when you think about it, been a relative walk-in most years I've been in. You know, you were saying about Supernatural. Yeah, people queue up overnight, and you know, you kind of need to get down there early if you want to be in the room and whatever else. But Sunday's always felt like a bit of a walk-in after Supernatural. So it's, to me, it's always been a bit light, and this year it still feels light, but it has those hardcore fan bases, really. You know, you've got to think that we had a Sons of Anarchy panel a few years ago in Hall H on a Sunday. Well, that's what we're getting again this year. So it's only following tradition. Is it a full house for those? No, I don't think so.
Okay. Listen, I mean, what's been the chatter so far about Riverdale in the States? Because obviously it's, here in the UK, it's available on Netflix, but it's not the big show, as it were. What's been the take from you? Alyssa?
I'm sorry. The take on the Sunday shows.
Yeah.
The Sunday shows. There's a number of of the Sunday shows which really interested me. The Geek Ed Civility versus Anger, I thought was an interesting one. Primarily because there is so much focus these days on our differences, and I think that it's bringing forth the idea that geeks can agree on Star Wars or Star Trek is more important than whether or not I believe in Star Wars, they believe in Star Trek. And I think that analogy obviously can move to the greater picture. So I think that's the first one. That's the first panel that seemed of interest to me. That's in the Central Library. And that also kind of goes into another panel that the University of Wakanda this with the success of Wonder Woman and Black Panther. So I kind of like to highlight the San Diego Library for the early morning Sunday shows. Well, I shouldn't say early morning, but the morning Sunday shows, because they really kind of have that global big picture aspect going for them. The panel blurb reads: the success of Wonder Woman and Black Panther have resulted in a passionate discussion about bringing diversity in. And I think that's the more we say it, the more it will happen, and we'll get the diversity in the writing rooms that we absolutely need. The other panel that I was that interested me, the other room was, and your favorite, Leonard, is in room 2 during the day. That looks to be very, very interesting. Mental health in comics. And since there are a high number of creatives, and traditionally geeks have been sort of not as much a part of mainstream culture, I think that there is a tendency towards some mental health issues, and I think addressing it is a great thing. So how does that fit into the panel, the room 2 schedule, with creating Walt Disney, proper pitching and promoting of comics, and how to draw in different studio styles? I'm not quite sure. And I think it goes to what you had mentioned earlier, that they're throwing in these little panels to disrupt the day.
In every room, I suspect.
Yeah, I mean, and they did it in room 2 with the mental health the mental health panel at 2:30, putting it between pitching and promoting and how to draw with Mark McDonald.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm in agreement with you.
Fair enough. I'm also going to point out another panel in that room, the 2 panels before, which is which was going to be my one of my picks, which is our superhero social justice warriors, because it is a conversation that's been on the forefront of comics social media for the last 6, 8, 10 months, ever since Comicsgate decided to that Gamergate wasn't picking up enough headlines anymore. Let's co-opt Comicsgate instead. Our superhero social justice warriors. It's a cracking concept of a panel, and I'm up for it. If anything, may have to search for it, but I also quite like, and people know what my thoughts and opinions are of a certain Twitter handle and his attempts at basically sowing discord in the world of comics, Twitter, and social media, grabbing 1 or 2 people and taking them for a ride. There is a panel called Diversity in Comics, and it's about diversity and comics, and it's the ultimate troll. I bloody love it. Any panel that calls itself Diversity in Comics and just talks about diversity in comics with a bunch of diverse people tells a certain Twitter handle to go jump, and I am more than happy for that. So that's my personal one on that. Let's have a look at this. We've got a couple of people talking. Yeah, people are talking about the fact that it doesn't seem to be a particularly strong lineup, certainly for Hall H, in terms of, because it goes from Riverdale into Mayans, which, by the way, if you actually have a look, this is Mayans MC, sorry, the way, this is in the same kind of universe as Sons of Anarchy, and it is the next chapter in Kurt Sutter's saga of Sons of Anarchy. But I've been into a Sons of Anarchy panel in Ballroom 20, and it's been a third full. Is this going to really? That's going to feel like a very empty room. So that's going to feel very strange. Or should I say, it's going to feel like a very empty room till about halfway through that panel, and then a bunch of Legion fans are going to show up, and we're going to tell everyone to move out of the way because we want our panel now. Oh yes, I'm going to be there. So no, I'm in the room for Legion. because I've got to see that and then run to the talkback panel very, very quick. So yeah, I'm up for that. Let's have a look. We've got Alyssa. This is from Gil Cabrera. Are you going to the Cloak and Dagger panel? Basically asking if you've spotted that and if it's something that catches your attention.
It does catch my attention. I probably will not get to it, although I would like to. Okay,
that's 5:45 in Ballroom 20 on the Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh yes, this is another one as well. Let me just see if I can find this, because this is on Sunday as well. This is the Inside Comic-Con Museum, which is happening at noon on Sunday, and yeah, this could be interesting, if anything, because we're going to see a new chapter in Comic-Con International. So this is in 29AB, not the biggest room at all. Staff and special panelists will present a behind-the-scenes look at plans for the upcoming Comic-Con Museum in Balboa Park. So that could be interesting. I think that's how it looks across the board. You just kind of like look down and go, that could be interesting. Does that make sense? Mark, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. As I said, you know, it seems quite light, but there are bits where I'm like, yeah, that could be interesting. A couple of bits that I picked out. Bizarre States, which I believe is a popular podcast by Jessica Chubbutt and Andrew Bowser, where they explore the mysteries of the weird, supernatural, and occult. Got to say, that kind of interests me. Yeah, that's not too bad at all. Another one I noticed, I didn't even know this existed, I've got to say, and yet I'm like, well, that kind of sounds fun. Disney manga. Didn't know it was a thing at all, and yet Tokyo Pop's family-friendly line of licensed Disney manga, including Beauty and the Beast, Stitch, Fairies, Alice in Wonderland, and their new full-color manga, The Nightmare Before Christmas, Zero's Journey. I'm kind of interested to see what that looks like. You know, kind of odd. And what we've been alluding to all this show, Leonard, is some bizarre things and the diversity that we have seen in this entire schedule. Here's how diverse it is. There is a panel in the Marriott at 2 p.m. with Chef Duff Goldman. Duff Goldman is going to be there.
I've got to find this.
Yeah, no. It's Grand 1 and 2, Marriott Marquis Marina, and as Chef Goldman answers questions from fans and discusses about where he sees the future of culinary arts and fandom and the growing popularity of cooking shows. Now, clearly, Duff Goldman has never been to the UK because cooking shows are everywhere, every day. But that is a random panel. Random.
Yeah. I do like the fact that the panel is actually moderated by Jessica Zhang, who's a comic book historian and also a runner of the company Fangirl Foods.
It makes sense, I have to say, given that one of the highlights of Silicon Valley Comic-Con this past spring was, I think there was a Monster Donut venue, or some. They had the most amazing donuts with a geek line and geek names, and they were amazing. So marketing to the geeks makes absolute sense to me. But you're right, it is diverse, but that's a panel that I would go to because I like food and I like geeks. So yeah. That's, who knew? Who knew until you put it out there what people are going to go to? And I think that's, it's a lot like the throwing of spaghetti on the wall, to see what sticks.
Yeah.
And I applaud CCI for doing that.
There is a panel that caught my attention, which I'd like to have gone, but it does clash with the CCI talkback, the Science of Westworld kind of caught my attention called Violent Insights. And also a panel at 3 o'clock, which I will not be able to attend, which I'm absolutely gutted about. Harlan Ellison, a celebration, which, I mean, we're talking someone who passed away recently, and they've got a panel programmed for him, which is why I know it's only been a couple of days, but I think I would have liked to have seen possibly something about Steve Ditko.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, that would have taken, I don't know, 2 hours to organise. So I don't think that was going to happen. But it would have been nice. I'm hoping he's represented somewhere at Comic-Con. So there we go. Right. So I think we've done all our choices, and I think we've looked through the panels, and I think Alyssa wants us to kind of move on to kind of wrap things up. I mean, do we have a week in TV this week?
We do. I haven't done the prep work for it, so I am going to quickly segue and say one more suggestion of a panel. Why Geek is the New Cool is at the Marriott, the MMM in Grand 1 and 2 at 3 o'clock, which is just before the Talkback panel, I believe. It's put on by Mensa folk, and in theory, it might be an interesting panel that would go into a little bit more depth of why Geek is the New Cool, and if there is, explore the ideas, if there is a bubble, and all of that sort of thing. So people may want to take a look at that one also. With regards to the week in TV, we do have a few things happening this week, and I'm quickly calling that up. I think the 100, let's see. Oh, this is not this week. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a little bit behind there.
No worries.
Yep. Like I said, I'm just going to say that moving to a 10 a.m. time slot has really kind of messed with me. So I do apologize for this. And can you talk for a moment, Leonard, please?
Yeah, sure. I think I mean, we could certainly talk about how. Well, I mean, let's talk about what we're going to be doing next week. Because if 10 a.m. is going to mess with Alyssa, then it's possibly going to mess with me as well. Because myself and Alyssa are going to be hosting our final show of this particular run next Sunday. It's going to be in the shadow of the convention center. We are going to try and find a location where perhaps other people can join us as well. But we're going to be basically, you will see the convention center in the background. So it's I fly out tomorrow. I think I fly in about 12 hours time. So I will be in San Diego as of tomorrow evening. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting into the swing of things, and looking forward to going proper lobster pink, which should be fun. But that's what we're going to be kind of doing. There is the possibility of a special show that we're going to be doing. We usually do our kind of cup of water cup of water show on the Monday morning, or the Monday midday, purely because we've been out on the Sunday, we've wrapped up the con, we've partied and geeked out hard for 4 or 5 days, and we just go out and absolutely get bladdered. And yeah, we kind of recover by having a glass of water and a breakdown of the week we just had. The last couple of years, we've set our bar particularly high. We had ourselves what was going to be a rooftop view over the city, but unfortunately rain started to fall, so we had our a show. Which hotel was that? Was it the Andes? Mark, yeah, it was. Yeah, gorgeous, absolutely fantastic. And the year before that, we had I'm on a Boat, where we had our show on a yacht, on one of the boats out the back of the harbour. It was great. It was lots of fun. So we've set the bar particularly high. there may be the possibility of a rather nice show, tasty little show coming up. We have yet to get finalized. So as soon as we do, we will spread the word. But if you are in town on Monday, you may want to keep your day free. Just to say. Just to let you know.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll never promise.
Not a promise, yeah. We'll see. Fingers crossed, though. Okay. Alyssa, over to you then.
Yes. First off, I'm going to apologize for the next week in television not being published yet. We've had a little bit of snafu with the scheduling. I'm going to get that published soon. We say goodbye to Handmaid's Tale. I have not caught any of the second season, and I hope to catch up with that soon. It hasn't gotten quite as much buzz as the first one, but we'll see what happens down the road with that. CW is got the 100 happening. They're moving their schedule a little bit to accommodate a new show called The Outpost, which debuts on the CW also. It's a tale of a survivor of black blood race, tends to somewhat elvish. She endures the murder of her tribe, the destruction of her village, grows up to seek vengeance. It could be a very interesting show. I think it really breaks down into whether or not the lead actress can fight. And, if she's just phoning it in for the fight scenes, and perhaps it's not going to be as interesting, but if she can actually carry through with the action sequences, it could be a very fun one. The highlight of my week is going to be a History Channel show called Hot Wheels, the 50th anniversary special on Thursday night. Just to put that on everybody's DVRs, you might want to program that, just because Hot Wheels has been around for a long, long time, and that's interesting. The other thing that we have got happening in this week is the first season finale of CB Strike airs on Cinemax. The finale does. BBC has got Planet Earth happening, but it seems like it's a fairly light week in programming. And so just to get ready, but everybody should get ready and start planning out their DVRs for the rest of the month, just so you don't miss anything. And we'll have stuff to watch in August.
I'm wondering also if anyone's going to be organising any Ant-Man viewing evenings next week, considering that's out in the States after this weekend just gone. Not that we're bitter about that here in the UK at all. So yes, I do know that we got some Brits who are watching today that may be skipping the back end of the show next Sunday because of the World Cup. Fine, knock yourself out. You do what you do. Oh, it's the week after. Okay, I don't care. I couldn't care less. I think I got navel lint I give more a rat's ass about than the football. I couldn't care less. So anyway, so there we go. It will be happening at some point. Okay. Oh, and it starts before the show. Oh, wonderful. Right. Okay. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. If there's any panels that you have got your attention, drop us a line. Tag myself and Alyssa into it, tag Mark into it. Yeah, let's keep the conversation going. If there's any panels that kind of jumped out at you and that's going to be attracting your attention. What's your thoughts on the way that CCI programmed this year? Is this a year that Comic-Con have killed the lines? We will find out in 11 days' time when it all kicks off. Comic-Con International 2018. Thank you very much indeed to my guests for joining us. Mark, where can people find you online, sir?
just before I do that, let me just say one thing. I know, obviously, a lot of people have said, it's a light year and whatever else, and maybe I'm not that invested and stuff like that. Just to say to those people who think it is a bit of a light year, just get off site. Go to the off sites. There's so many off sites that, you'll kind of forget about Hall H. So if you're not having a good time at the convention, get off the site, man. That's what I got to say, because that's what happened to me last year. I didn't go Saturday. I did the off sites, had a blast, absolute blast. So if you think it's a light year, do the off sites, man. I got to say. To answer your question, Leonard, people can find me on Twitter, Mark_Searby, website, marksearby.com, radio every Friday afternoon here in the UK on Phoenix FM. Saturday morning, Sunday morning as well on BBC Radio Suffolk. And also, sorry, Leonard, I know I'm going on here. Sorry. And also, from tomorrow, you will be able to find me on some DVDs. So from tomorrow, if you buy the 3 Faces of Eve DVD/Blu-ray reissue here in the UK, I am on there as a special feature. Unbelievable, I know.
You are a special feature.
Thank you. That's very kind of you, Leonard. Very kind of you. So yes, if you buy that, you'll find me on there. I will say to everybody who's in America listening and all around the world, it is multi-region. So if you want to hear me talk about these films, you can buy this and import it. This is the first one. We're going to be doing loads more. There's one film which will appeal to all of the geeks, I think. All of the geeks. It is a cult classic. It's going to be coming September, October. I can't say what it is just yet. But this week I did an interview with somebody who was very, very influential in it. And when they announce it, I will let you know. But it's going to be brilliant.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Alyssa, where can people find you online?
People can find me on my Twitter handle, which is @FriendsOfCCI. You can also follow Friends of CC blog if you're interested in more of the blog posts that we do, pop culture, more pop culture, and people can always find me on the forum at Alyssa, but under the name of Alyssa at my forum handle, Friends of CC on my site.com.
No worries. And no doubt this is where we say to Alyssa, yeah, cup of coffee. Either or just a nice chilled out Sunday morning, which you don't get to do. You usually you chilled out Sunday morning, and then we do this rushing around with the whole hangout, and that just really is a thorn in your Sunday. Now it's kind of shifted back. You can chill out for the rest of the day. It's a nice long Sunday for you.
She can go shopping for more shoes.
Buy more shoes. That's fine.
You will be. I am sure that my shoe collection will be introduced to everybody who's watching today next week, because there's no way that Leonard's going to be able to let this go. I totally know it.
I'm letting it go right now.
It's a product of your plumbing. We understand how men's fascination with women's fascination with shoes goes. Regardless.
That got very Matrix there for a second.
If anybody is in San Diego next week after the show, perhaps we'd like to do an informal get-together downtown for folks who are just, want to get together and have a little bit of a lunch thing after the show next week. I think I can talk Leonard into that, and probably Caroline too.
Won't take much.
Exactly.
Do you know where I'd like to go? I'd like to go to the Tin Fish. I've never been. Never done it.
Well, I think it doesn't.
Yeah, opposite the convention center. I've never been in the bloody thing.
Sounds like a plan.
So there
we'll
you go.
See you guys, everybody, next week is where I was going with this, and I hopefully, fingers crossed for everybody's preparation and packing and all of that sort of stuff, because we're in it now. And the big thing is they have stores in San Diego, and you could buy stuff here too if you forget something. So if you need a battery charger or a cable or chances are we've got
makes sense. I'm finishing off my packing once I'm done here. I'm having some meeting and chilling of 3 hours of just making sure I've got everything. and then making the journey down to catch the train, to the plane, sorry. A train to San Diego. That could be interesting.
No, I'm picking you up.
No. I mean, actually across the Atlantic.
Oh, yes.
that could be odd. Anyway, for myself, you can find me on the social medias, Englishman SDCC, and of course, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. As of the Comic-Con week, I will be moving more from Twitter to Instagram because it's the sights and sounds, and I'll be able to bring more of those to you. They will share directly to Twitter and also to Facebook as well, but that's where they will start. So you'll be able to see them. I'll be doing live video and broadcasts and stuff from my Instagram account. So do go to Instagram.com/EnglishmanSDCC. And of course, I would like to thank everybody who has helped and supported the show on Patreon. We had our last payout for Patreon this week. Prior to Comic-Con happening, we had 1 or 2 people bumping up their donations. You would not believe how much it's helped, because it's kind of paid for hosting for the show, and it's kind of allowed us to keep us going. So thank you very much indeed for that. Patreon.com/EnglishmanSDCC for any support that you can throw our way, of course. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Next week's show is from the shadow of the convention center, because it will then be 3 days to go to San Diego Comic-Con 2018 next Sunday. Take care, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and the next time I see you will be in San Diego. From us to you, we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.